You are about to embark on a mind-blowing journey with me through time and relative dimensions and space. Ours will be an exploratory tour through all reality, backwards and forwards throughout the timeline and every location in the cosmos. Fighting evil, witnessing wonders with death at our heels, and making snarky comments all the while. This is the Who Review, and I am your host, the host. Hello and welcome to our first ever episode of the Who Review. In watching this show, you are joining me on a personal test of endurance to see whether I, the host, can successfully watch through the entire run of the Doctor Who TV series from its very first episode, which aired in 1963 and is still ongoing to this day. Now, that's all well and good, but why make a production out of it? Well, there's a lot in the early episodes of Doctor Who that can alienate the modern viewer. So in the hopes of bringing the full Who experience to an audience that might otherwise be disinclined from watching such a gargantuan epic, this show hopes to summarize the storylines and will provide my own personal insight on the weirdness, the lunacy, the comedy, and epic majesty that is Doctor Who. Let's roll out the first episode, An Unearthly Child.
Hello, welcome to jolly old England, circa 1963, wherein the Beatles released their first album, Britain signs a nuclear test ban treaty with Russia and the US, and the guy who wrote the Narnia book stars. Also, JFK gets assassinated, but who cares? He's American. Note the name Foreman here. There's a reason the camera lingers on it. There's a reason the camera lingers on this thingamadingy as well. Practically undressing it with its eye. We switch over to this high school. Pay no attention to these students. They don't even make the credits.
Obviously not.
Well, ask a silly question.
Our actual focus is on these two, Ian and Barbara.
Oh, I had a terrible day. I don't know what to make of it.
Oh, what's the trouble? Can I help?
Oh, it's one of the girls, Susan Foreman.
Susan Foreman?
Foreman? As in the same Foreman that was in the junkyard?
Subtle. Subtle. Although that still leaves the question of where the name Susan came from. Pulled it out of a phone book, maybe? Anyway, these two teachers don't know what to make of Susan. On one hand, she's an extremely bright 15-year-old, but she also has several brow-raising discrepancies in her basic British.
Well, I don't know how you explain the fact that a teenage girl does not know how many shillings there are in a pound.
Really?
Really. I'm sorry, Miss Wright. Don't be silly, Susan. The United States has a decimal system. You know perfectly well that we do not.
Of course the decimal system hasn't started yet.
I'm not an alien.
Nothing about this girl makes sense. For instance, the other day I was talking about chemical changes.
Yes, I can see red turns to blue, Mr. Chesterton, but that's because we're dealing with two inactive chemicals. They only act in relation to each other.
But that's the whole point of the experiment, Susan.
Yes, it's a bit obvious, isn't it? Well, I'm not trying to be rude, but couldn't we deal with two active chemicals? Then red could turn blue all by itself and we could get on with something else.
I'm not an alien.
Not to mention unbelievable insights into the sciences.
I'd set the class a problem with A, B, and C as the three dimensions.
It's impossible unless you use D and E.
D and E? Whatever for? Do the problem that's set, Susan.
I can't, Mr. Chesterton. You can't simply work on three other dimensions.
Three of them? Ah, time being the fourth, I suppose. Then what do you need E for? What do you make the fifth dimension?
Space.
Then I ram my ovipositor down your throat and lay my eggs in your chest. But I'm not an alien.
Spurred by curiosity, they tail Susan out to where she says her home address is, this junkyard. There, whilst looking for Susan, they stumble across this dewey digger, and this gentleman, Susan's grandpa.
There you are, grandfather.
So Ian and Barbara approach the old guy.
We heard a young girl's voice call out to you.
Your hearing must be very acute. I didn't hear anything.
It came from in here.
You imagined it.
I certainly did not imagine it.
Young man, is it reasonable to suppose that anybody would be inside a cupboard like that?
I feel like I can trust him implicitly, don't you?
Anyway, the old dude continues to give Ian and Barbara the runaround, never breaking stride, even as they threaten to call the cops on him.
I'm not hindering you. If you both want to make fools of yourselves, I suggest you do what you said you do. Go and find the policeman.
Or you nip off quietly in the other direction.
Selfie. There's only one way in and out of this yard. I shall be here when you get back. I want to see your faces when you try to explain away your behavior to a policeman.
In fact, I'll call them to you myself right now, right here on my cell phone. Now let's see, 911... Wait, no, this is England. What is the telephone number for the British police? They never say that in the movies. Wait a second. This is 1963.
The old man almost gets them to walk off until Susan herself spills the beans.
What's he doing out there?
She is in there. Close the door, please. Barbara, what do you like?
This just in. Grandfather imprisons granddaughter in tiny box ritualistically, forced to perform unspeakable acts. 2 concerned citizens sustained life-threatening injuries in ill-fated rescue attempt. The grandfather is still at large. Details at 11.
Only it seems the police box functions on clown car physics.
Maybe it's just me, but she's still wearing that? In a place like this? I was expecting something a little more, I don't know.
So now they're all at an impasse.
The point is not whether you understand. What is going to happen to you? So tell everybody about the ship now.
Susan, my disintegrator array is in the top drawer. There's a good girl. Leave no witnesses.
Actually, the 2 of them continue to lord their advanced alien knowledge over the puny human primates.
It moves? The TARDIS can go anywhere. TARDIS? I don't understand you, Susan. Well, I made up the name TARDIS from the initials, time and relative dimension in space. I thought you'd both understand when you saw the different dimensions inside from those outside.
Yes, Dexter, I can read your thoughts, and I am smarter than you.
Susan begs Grandpa to simply let her teachers leave their ship in peace. Grandpa decides they're much too fun not to kidnap.
I understand.
Over there. I saw it. Which is it? Which is it? Which control operates the door? Still think it's all an illusion.
I know that free movement in time and space is a scientific dream I don't expect to find solved in a junkyard.
Your arrogance is nearly as great as your ignorance.
Will you open the door? Open the door! Susan, will you help us?
I mustn't.
Very well then. I'll have to risk it myself.
I can't stop you.
Oh yes, that one. Go right ahead and press that one. It's definitely the door opening button. Press it.
Oh, dear.
You press it. I can't believe you actually. Oh wait. Wait. Okay, now it's safe to press. Go ahead. Press it now this time.
Oh, dear.
God, I love being me. I really, really, really love being me. So off they go.
Now, although we've technically reached the end of An Unearthly Child, I can't finish this review without mentioning something extraordinary about this episode. Namely, that there's more than one version of it. Oh yes.
It's especially obvious once they're all inside the TARDIS. The alterations extend far beyond a simple change in wardrobe for Susan. Just compare this...
They must have followed you. That ridiculous school. I knew something like this would happen. We stayed in one place too long.
Versus...
They're two of my school teachers.
Is that your excuse for this unwarrantable intrusion? You had no right to invite them here. I blame you for this, Susan. You would insist on going to that ridiculous school. I warned you.
Grandfather!
Whoa! Bipolar much, Grandpa?
I can't exactly explain why they filmed this episode twice. I mean, it would have been one thing if the earlier version had F-bombs dropping all over the place, but no, it's nothing like that. Having watched both versions, my best guess is that the Who crew hadn't quite decided what the old man's personality should be. Did they prefer him being all giggles and grins?
But I still don't... Not quite clear, is it? I can see by your face that you're not certain. You don't understand. I knew you wouldn't. Never mind.
Or scowls and snarls?
This is a trick! It is no trick, young man. You both forced your way into the ship. I did not invite you. I see no reason why I should explain anything. Ship.
Personally speaking, I find it an abysmal failure in judgment on the writer's part. Those namby-pamby, wishy-washy, flip-flopping ink-slingers can't make up their minds, so they decide to play it both ways? Bah!
But whichever version you go with, sweet or sour, it's still very much the same story, hitting all the same plot beats and ending with Susan's grandpa spiriting her two teachers away from their home in 1963 England to a whole new where and when.
If nothing else, these series' cretinous creators do learn their lesson this once. I've yet to see another Who episode with multiple versions to it, though there are other mistakes, other embarrassments, which more than make up for this one. Whoa! Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Where was I? Oh, yes. When we come back, we'll be stepping outside the TARDIS for the first time and see how our heroes adjust to time travel culture shock. Until then, I'm the host, and I have no more time to waste on you sorry simpletons!
Let's get out of here.
You can't get out.